Next we have Marcus Sharf. He's the class of 2021. Marcus started at GA in 6th grade. Once in the upper school, he was in Robert's house. He's the oldest of now soon to be 3 GA graduates. His sister's a sophomore and the youngest is coming to GA next year. Marcus started his own secondary sneaker business when he was in middle school here. Once in upper school, he started working with Gabby from an entrepreneur standpoint and was part of our mini master and actually got connected to another alum who's an entrepreneur who helped him along down in Florida. By his senior year here at GA, his business was big enough that he needed a warehouse for all the sneakers and focused his senior project on learning how to manage the business and finance end of his work in anticipation of being a college student and running a business. As a student at University of Miami, Marcus saw an opportunity to start a retail storefront, and he's launched Hype. As you can see, his company name's on his hat. And then Marcus joins us today to talk more about the path to get to this point and operating a successful business with 7-figure revenues.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, my name is Marcus. I operate my sneaker business out of Miami as well as Pennsylvania still in Philly. I graduated GA in 2021 and then ended up attending the University of Miami. And I'm just here to tell you guys a little bit about my experience running my own business as an entrepreneur, as you guys are learning a lot about, which is awesome. So yeah, I started back in middle school. If you guys are familiar with Supreme, the clothing brand, I'm sure a lot of you guys know what it is. It was reselling for a lot of money at the time. People were able to purchase it and sell it almost, double the price sometimes. A friend told me about it. I saw an opportunity to make money and I hopped onto it. And the summer of 2017, I would say my business was born. And it simply started with me selling Supreme items online. I would buy it on the website and resell it for more on eBay, as well as in person, actually at school, which has got a few people not too happy, they didn't really want me selling stuff at school, but that was the start of my business. I ended up, scaling my business from there. I'll show you guys a little bit of the path of, how I got from starting, selling Supreme stickers in school to now operating a whole store here in Miami. We do 7 figures of revenue in business. Last year, we did about $6 million in revenue. And yeah, so I have a little slideshow. There's not much on it, just a few pictures to kind of show you the journey of what I went through. So like I said, I started in 2017 flipping Supreme, from the website into school. And that picture right there you see first, that's February 12th, 2018. So that's about probably 6 to 8 months after I started my business. That was all of my inventory. I started with, a couple $100, whatever I had saved up from birthday money, holiday money, whatever it might be. I never really spent much of my money, so I kind of had something to work with to begin with, about a couple $100, like I mentioned. And I built it in about 6 to 8 months. I built my inventory to what you see right here on the left. And yeah, so through there, I used Instagram as my main platform to market myself, to buy things, to sell things, and market myself as a person. I put myself out there. A lot of the times my face physically, in pictures and videos, going live, interacting with people. So I interacted a lot with other people and I built a strong community. And that's one of the key points that I learned throughout my business that I'll mention to you guys later, but just so you guys know. So yeah, so that's February 2018. About a year later, as you can see on the right, that's March 2019. And you can see these are all pictures taken in my bedroom. This is where I started all the business. I would, ship everything out. I would post everything for sale. So if you guys aren't familiar with the business that I'm in, there's a lot of shoes that have essentially more demand than they do supply. So companies like Nike, Adidas, Supreme, for example, they release these items in limited quantities and there's a lot more demand than supply. So people like me are able to buy it, resell it for more and make a profit. So yeah, so that was 2019. I continued to scale my business through Instagram mainly, meeting new people. That was the key to growing my business, the Instagram community I had. And I continued to make money and reinvest. And as you see on the right, there's a picture of a Rolex. You might think, oh, why is this guy showing me a picture of a Rolex? He's trying to act cool or whatever it might be. The reason I put the picture there was because that was the first time I ever spent the profit that I made on myself. Up until that point, almost 3 years that I was running my business, I reinvested every dollar that I had back into it, into more inventory, marketing, whatever it might be. And so yeah, that was kind of like the first time I really saw the fruits of my labor and bought myself something, nice. I was able to afford, a $10,000 watch at the age of 16. And that's really all. That's really the reason I put it there, to show that, I didn't spend much money on myself until maybe even 3 years into the business. So yeah, so that was a crucial turning point in my business and my personal life. And I continue to scale my business. I got more into shoes rather than Supreme. As you see on the right, that's probably one of the first big shipments I got. And you might be wondering, where does one get this many sneakers? Over the years, that's 2021. That was almost 4 years after I started my business. I began to, make more connections with wholesalers and suppliers, and sometimes even direct connections with certain companies that have contracts with brands like Nike. Those, for example, that's 1,000 pairs of Air Force Ones. So, for something like that, I'd be able to purchase it in a bulk lot at a certain price, resell it for maybe $5 or $10 more, and make a profit that way. So yeah, so that's kind of how I scaled my business. At this point, this picture was taken in my driveway. Definitely outgrew my bedroom. I moved into my basement. I moved into my garage, and my parents kind of were like, all right, well, I think it's time for you to move on to something bigger. So I rented out a warehouse in Warminster, where I'm from, about 10 minutes from my house. And I continued to scale my business and filled up that warehouse with more inventory, which you guys will see here. That picture was taken July 15, 2022. That's me in the warehouse. That's actually the summer before Hype, the brand that you guys see on my hat, was born, which is the real story of my business, I would say, when I took it to the next level. At this point in July, I was very successful in my business. We were doing, millions of dollars in revenue at that point. Probably 2021 was the first year I broke $1 million. 2022 scaled even more to a few $1 million in revenue. And at that point, I was attending the University of Miami. I did 2 semesters there, and I, sat down with my parents, and they asked me, so I was running my business successfully while managing school, which is, really hard to do. But I think it's something that, is important. I think everyone has their thing, right? A lot of kids they're really good at sports, art. For me, it was business. I was never, a super great athlete, but I spent, a lot of kids spend time on sports. I spent my time building my business through high school. But I think that's very important, to have something else, besides education, kind of giving you a purpose, giving you something to lead you in life. So yeah, I attended University of Miami in college. I was running my business out of my 400 square foot dorm room. I had 2 people running the warehouse, and I was just, working together with them to continue to buy and sell these sneakers coming in on a daily basis. But at that point, I wanted something more in my business. I realized that I couldn't just buy and sell sneakers my whole life, because there was nothing really built behind that in terms of a brand. Everyone knew me on Instagram, but I didn't have a brand behind me. I didn't have something, my dad, he's actually also an entrepreneur. He's my mentor. He helps me out a lot. I ask him for advice. He gives me advice. And he came to me one time and said that, your business is worth $0. And when he said that to me, I was like, you're right. And what he meant by that, your business is worth $0, is that no one would, be able to purchase my business. A lot of the times you see these big entrepreneurs, and they sell their company for millions, hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes. But I knew that wouldn't be the case in my business, because my business was simply me. It was me buying things and selling them for more. So there wasn't much value behind that, for someone that were to purchase a business like that. And when he said that, I realized that he was right, and that I needed something to expand the business, to diversify the business, and that was a retail storefront. A lot of people told me, retail is dead, this and that, shopping malls are closing, all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, I saw an opportunity in Miami. I was located in Coconut Grove, which is where the University of Miami is. And I saw a super, super up and coming neighborhood with a lot of, wealthy people that I noticed were spending their money in various places. And there was a lack of something like this in the neighborhood. So the idea was born. Someone I was working with, his name's Yuri. He actually was, one of my main suppliers when I was growing my business. I ended up having this idea to open the store. I knew I couldn't do it myself, especially because I was still enrolled in school, and still operating the business out of the warehouse, which you see on the left. At this point, I decided, all right, I got to go all in on this. And I was having dinner with my parents one night over the summer before I was supposed to go back to University of Miami for another semester. And I said, hey, listen, like, I don't think that I'm going to be able to handle both, or having a business operating out of Pennsylvania, buying and selling sneakers in bulk at that point, going to classes every day, studying, all that kind of stuff, and also operating a storefront in Miami. So I made the decision to go all in essentially on my business. I ended up not going back to school, but a lot of people online, I'm sure you guys see on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they're always telling you, oh, school's a scam, this and that. I disagree with that a lot. I think education is really important. I just think you have to do what your time allows you to do at the end of the day. And for me, I knew I couldn't do both. I think I always strongly recommend people to do both. I think it's important, like I said before, to have your education and have something else. But there's always that turning point where you realize that you can't do both and you need to focus on one thing, especially if it's bringing you, revenue or money that you can live off of. So that was my decision. I ended up, we ended up picking a spot, leasing a store, and boom, that was the store on August 5th, 2022. And that was a store 15 days later on August 20th, 2022. So, I was asked to talk a little about my hardships because I've only been talking about success so far, obviously, but there's been a ton of hardships that I probably haven't even mentioned yet. Dealing with, whenever you're in a business, dealing with a lot of people, talking to people on a daily basis, there's bound to be disagreements, there's bound to be, issues that arise. This was one of the main ones. As you could see, I was kind of freaking out 15 days before my store was set to open. It looked like that, and I was super worried. Everyone on social media was excited to see the store opening, and it looked like that. And I really couldn't do anything. I wasn't the one building the store, but we made it happen nonetheless. We probably finished at like 3 a.m. the night before, but that's what the store looked like. We had a super successful grand opening. It looks empty in that, but we had hundreds of people come by. And yeah, overall, it was a great start to our retail journey. And it doesn't really end there. That's almost 2 years ago now. If you look at the next slide, this is essentially, you see another store on the right. I'll get to that in a second. But we continued to scale that store, diversifying the inventory that we got, all that kind of stuff. And we started focusing heavily on social media. My father, he's also an entrepreneur, like I mentioned. He has a very successful Instagram and YouTube channel where he makes content. And I saw him having success with that. And I decided, okay, this is where, most of marketing is heading, in the future right now. There's a ton of ways you can market your business. Social media is just one of those things that was on the rise right now and continues to be super good in converting business. So we started focusing on that in January 2023. And because of that, we ended up, meeting a lot of really cool people, celebrities, whoever it might be, business people. I met so many cool people that are doing 10, 100 times the business that I am. And it's really cool what social media allows you to do. And that's really what I focused on, just making content, making videos on social media, because I saw that was the future. And so we had another turning point. I included a few pictures of, some notable faces that we've met through the business. And there's tons more that you guys can check out on the Instagram. But the point I was trying to make is, through the social media that I focused on directly, we were able to see this success, meeting cool people, getting our name out there, etc. On the second picture you see in July, you see there's tape on the ground, and you see that there's this not finished store. There's another turning point in our business that really, really was tough for me. What happened was we had the store in Coconut Grove. It was doing very successful, and we only signed a 1-year lease. We only rented out the store for 1 year. Now, our idea was, if it went well for a year, we're going to release it. It was very quickly seen that after 3 months, it was very successful, and that we were going to hopefully stay in that spot. When we went to go renew the lease 3 months before, our landlord notified us that he had other plans and wasn't sure if he wanted to see us, wasn't sure that we could keep that space. So that was a very, very tough hardship in our business because we had 3 months to essentially find a store and move it. After building all this momentum for almost a year, it seemed like all of that progress was for nothing and we were back to square one. And essentially with the actual store, we were, as you could see in July, a year later after we opened the store in the Grove, this store was, empty. We started from scratch. We moved everything. And yeah, in 2 months, as you can see on the right, exactly a year after we opened our first store, we moved everything, picked up our stuff, and moved 15 minutes down the road to a much more happening neighborhood. And I was super, super upset that after all that time I spent, building a store, after, just 12 months, just a year, we had to move out of there. And it seemed like our progress was lost. But to be completely honest, it was actually a blessing in disguise. We ended up doing probably double the revenue in this new store that we have now. Our clientele has been so much higher, I guess, a lot more high profile celebrities, clients, just in general, everything has been much better. I like the look of the store a lot better. So that's kind of pretty much where we're at now. We've continued to scale the store. My main role in the actual store is buying inventory for the store, making content, all that kind of stuff. And we have a solid team now. We have a team of about, I want to say 7. We have 4 people that work in the store. We have a full-time videographer. I have a full-time guy that works at the warehouse because we still run that business in Pennsylvania. It's a little different. If you're not familiar with the word wholesale, it just means, selling stuff in bulk. So in the store, we sell individual sneakers to clients that walk in online as well. But for wholesale, I sell the same inventory just in bulk to other sneaker stores that sell the same product. So we continue scaling both of those businesses. We have the wholesale and then the retail. And 2023 is super successful as well over $5 million in revenue. And yeah, continue to scale the business, scale our presence online. As you can see, our Instagram, like I said, was a very, very key, point in, our success, growing a community on there. I told you about Instagram before I even opened the store. I was growing a community on there. I grew it to like about 15,000 followers, then started focusing more on this. And we're up to 75,000 followers at this point. And at the end of the day, more eyes is more money at the end of the day, for us at least. And I saw an importance in social media, so I really focused on that. And yeah, so that's essentially the journey to the present day. I hope you guys learned a little bit about the journey, but I do want to talk about a few key takeaways before I do go about the journey, about running a business, etc. And I was told to have 3 main points, so I kind of focused on these 3 points right here. I mentioned community before. Community is very, very important. For me, it was Instagram. There's so many different communities that you can join for whatever business that you want to do. The odds are if you enjoy something, if you run a business, there's probably thousands of other people that are doing the same thing. And it's so important to talk to these people, to get a second opinion always about anything in your business. For me, like I said, it was Instagram. From the day I started selling things, I started on Instagram. I posted, I met people through DM. My best friend, someone I call my best friend, that he comes sees me in Miami all the time. Whenever I'm in Philly, we hang out. I literally met on Instagram, like messaging him on Instagram. It's crazy to think that, but that's the world we live in now. Not saying, go be best friends with random people you meet on the internet, but internet's a powerful place. You should use it to your advantage and build a strong community. The second thing, a lot of people say, love what you do, all that kind of stuff. Or I'm sorry, do what you love, whatever passion you have, try to make a business out of it. I agree in that sense somewhat, but I disagree a little bit as well. I would say that you have to love what you do. At the end of the day, you do what works for you, whether you love it or not. If you find a business that you're able to make money and scale, you're going to enjoy it regardless of what it is. You're going to enjoy the process. And that's the most important thing. People get caught up in the numbers and followers and all that stuff. I know it's cliche to say, but at the end of the day, you have to enjoy the process of getting there. You have to enjoy every single step that it takes to, be where you are. And, that's kind of, I think, a big part of my success was enjoying the process every single day, being grateful for what you have and doing what you can do today rather than, in 1 year. Every single day, work hard at what you have today. So yeah, love what you do. Don't do what you love. That's what I say. And then the last thing would be focus on one thing at a time. You know, everyone's so worried about you know, having so many different things that they got going on. And I'm not saying don't do multiple things at a time. Like I said earlier, education and business, they go hand in hand. You can do both. My point is focus on one thing at a time. I found myself a lot of the time stretching myself thin over different parts of the business, and then I would never actually succeed in any of them. So what I would say is focus on one thing, master that one thing, then move on to the next so you can grow in whatever it is, business, school, you know, sports, whatever it might be. You focus on one thing, master that thing, and then you go to the next. And yeah, that's the story of Hype Miami, my sneaker store. If you guys want to learn more, you can check it out online or on YouTube, Instagram, our website, all that good stuff. And if you guys have any questions, you can always feel free to message me on Instagram, honestly, because I love to talk to, you know, GA, you know, whatever, alumni, whoever it might be in my community. I'm always willing to speak with, and I appreciate your guys' time and listening to me. Hope that wasn't too much for your ears, but yeah.